What do you know? 3 nights in a row. We're back again. So, yeah, I'm looking at an hour to 90 minutes tonight, and that's going to be it. My schedule is a little bit different for tomorrow. So, yeah. Start off by saying midweek news is edited. It's uploaded to YouTube. It's scheduled to release at 9 a.m. Eastern tomorrow morning. So it'll at least have 12 hours on the platform, and maybe that will work to its advantage. I just didn't have the energy to push to do it this afternoon between the heat and spending 90 minutes in the dentist chair this morning. I came home, I had lunch, and I took a nap. So, yeah, that's been the story of my day. So now here we are. It's still a little on the warm side, but we're here, and hopefully things will go all right tonight. All right, so we have Grish was an hour early. How's it going, Grish? We hear you breathing. Yeah, well, that's what happens when I don't hit the mute button.
Josephus is here. Welcome, Josephus.
Now, I really should start getting other effects for other people. I don't know. We can make Tony's a small robot.
Hi, Tony. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated.
I don't know. Maybe that's just me having too much fun. I've got a few unboxings to do tonight. Whether we'll do anything with them, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not going to promise anything. It's just been a long day, and turn that off, and we'll get it unboxed and get the stuff unboxed and crack open something else that I picked up today because it's been too long without it, and I couldn't wait anymore. So
Poor Josephus.
I don't like that one, but I'm not in attendance enough to be demanding. Unlike your sometimes companion. Okay, so let's jump right to it. So, box number 1. Isn't it beautiful? Inside box number 1, we've got a layer of foam, another layer of foam, another layer of foam. We've got a package, and we've got a cable, and we've got another cable. So what is this? Well, give you a hint. There's a phone cord. RJ11 ends on a cable. I'm not sure how it's wired. That would be interesting to find out. And there is a barrel plug extension type cable. Any clues yet? Well, obviously they didn't work worth a damn. So we'll just tear it. So this is the long-awaited adapter for the JetKVM that lets me do control of machines with a barrel plug. So I need to read up on how this will work before I can actually use it. But I'm at least going to connect the cables and set this one aside. What did they do on this? What did they do? That's interesting. The oh, there it goes. Now it clicks into place. Okay, so we're connected up. But currently the JetKVM is hooked up to the wrong computer. So I'll have to swap them at some point, hook the JetKVM to the B-Link that's running Windows, and then I can put the comment on the Optiplex that's running Linux and just see what happens with it. I'm very curious because the B-Links have questionable at best wake on LAN capabilities. I thought having this would be a good idea. So that's that. Why don't you ask your wife? That would be the acid test. Okay. Hi, Ashley, if you're listening. Okay, so we got one unboxing done, right? So I'm going to detour a little bit. I went to the grocery store today and I bought myself a bottle of Traverse City, Michigan apple. So I have not tasted this yet. Hopefully I don't regret my purchase. Smells like whiskey. All right. Let that aerate for a minute or three. So while that's preparing itself, one of my other purchases that I made a while back that has just arrived today is, hopefully I can get into this. I hate it when they use the actual box for the device as the shipping box. But I suppose everybody's looking to save a buck these days. So this is the updated Nettool. And if I could just get through this tape, maybe we can get into it. Hey, look at that. So I have the original Nettool. I bought that when I was teaching, but the 2.0 version came out. I had not yet ordered one. And that special, oh, focus. There we go. Nettool IO Pro 2. So I had refrained on ordering one because the original was still working well for me. Well, so the original is not, in my estimation, keeping its charge as well as it once did. And since they've got the firmware for the 2.0 version fleshed out a little bit more now, I thought, well, if there was one other thing that I wanted before the pricing on everything goes all to hell in a handbasket, let's just say, I wanted to have the newer Nettool. And the other reason I wanted to upgrade is because this now uses USB Type-C instead of micro USB for charging. And I've got many more USB-C adapters around than I do micro USB cables. So this was a nice time to do that. So, and you've probably seen these before. Willie has covered these. If you had visited the Nettool website a few years back, you would have seen my name on their website as being one of the relatively early adopters, I suppose. You know, they reached out to me. I think I may have sent them a review or something, and they responded to me very quickly asking if they could use my review on the website. And of course I said yes. So the lightning bolt has to be charged. So I'll plug this in potentially there. There we go. And we've got a green light. So it's charging. So there we've done my unboxings. So yeah. It's been a long day. It's nice to just be hanging out and shooting the breeze a little bit, but you know, I just I don't know. Anyway. All right, let's see. TVJ, welcome. We are actually in Michigan at IKEA. Oh no. Do I want to ask what you're buying tonight? Google account says very cool. Thank you. Hi Haley, welcome in. Had not heard of that tool. I do enjoy learning about this kind of stuff though. Not a big fan. Okay. Would you care to elaborate on why? I'm curious. I'm truly curious. Um, when I got the original one, because I don't have the funds to buy the big fancy tools like Jason from Jason's Lab has access to. It was valuable to me in doing tracing of network ports that were not documented when I was in the classroom, and I worked with the at the time the IT manager to help get some things documented so that you know he had some better idea of how to maintain some things. But it's just one of those things. I find them useful for what types of things I do. Uh, but to each their own. Um, I yeah, to each their own. That's that. Um, so, uh, what else is going on? I've continued to help test out that AI product that I showed off to members. It's not um, stable yet. Um, from a standpoint of how rapidly it's changing, and um, I'm talking about just the graphical front end on the website, how it's changing. um, I had contemplated spending some time dusting off a skill set that I've long abandoned for more than 10 years, and looking at a new to me tool called Selenium, which allows you to do automated um, testing for software, generally web-based software, which this is. The problem I've got right now, well, twofold actually. First, I've never used Selenium before. And second, excuse me, um, the changes that are being made are so drastic that um, I'm not willing to invest a lot of time in doing automated tests until such time as things have stabilized where the graphical interface is not changing every other day. Because if I'm getting paid to do this, then I would consider investing the time. Um, you know, it's just one of those things. You've got to have something stable to test, and right now the AI product is not at that point. From a functionality standpoint, um, it's been relatively consistent. Um, from a graphical interface standpoint, things have been moving around. They've been reformatted. Just um, they've changed enough that it would completely bork any tests that I put together. So, anyways, um, let's see. Last weekend, I filled his car with doTERRA business supplies, and now I need a giant shelf. Gotcha. Well, hey, maybe the shelf will the stuff on the shelf will disappear quickly, and so let's toast to that. It's not bad. I'm not picking up a lot of apple, but it's not bad. Anyway, I have the first and second generation. Both were so buggy it was unusable. Okay, I did not find that to be the case, but I guess other people have different experiences with them, which is fine. Conceptually, they're cool. I was sent them for review on my channel years ago and didn't do the review because I couldn't, in good conscience, recommend it. That's fair. Terrell, welcome in. It was one guy developing at the time that I think Willie knows, so I'm sure it's good intention, but I didn't find it useful. I had trouble with mine out of the box, kept hanging up every time I tried to use it. Interesting. So the question I would have is, were one or both of you accessing it from an iOS device? I know Tony uses an iPhone, or I'm pretty sure Tony uses an iPhone. Seems to be in that ecosystem. I know, Joe, you had a Pixel at one point, but you switched over to an iPhone. So where in the timeline of events did the Nettool come into play? That's what I would be curious about. We use Selenium at work for web scraping and web automation. Yep. I know Selenium's been around for a bunch of years. I've read about it several times. They're on version 4.0 now. They support multiple languages, which is a key selling point to me, because the tool I was using in the corporate world was built on top of Visual Basic Script, which was a practically dead language at the time I was using it, and it was only semi object oriented. It was a giant pain in the butt to use, and try to find workarounds for problems that shouldn't be problems. Cool. I'm glad to know I'm not the only one that's used it or considered using it. Nothing to add besides Selenium mentioned. Well, that's fair. How did you get the line over the O, Haley? I don't know. I'm more of a PowerShell guy at the moment, however. I've dabbled a little bit in PowerShell. I should dig into it more, but it feels wrong and dirty to put it on a Mac or a Linux machine, and I just really don't like Windows. I may consider it on a limited number of Linux machines, down the road because I attended a webinar 2 or 3 weeks ago from the Action One team, and so their API is heavily PowerShell reliant. It's platform agnostic, but it's PowerShell reliant. So in order to use their API, you have to use PowerShell. So it's one of those things that, fine. I mean, for some things, I would consider using it. Once the Linux agent is released from Action One, I will likely put it on a test box, install PowerShell on that test box, and that will be my test and dev machine for the purposes of working with Action One. I don't see myself putting it on a Mac. It feels wrong. I'm not sure what I think about that whiskey. Maybe if I had ice cubes in it, it would be better. Anyway, both they're very friendly languages for me. I work in a non-technical field, so I'm always looking to expand what I know. That's cool. I'm it's rare that I meet people working in non-technical fields that would even know about Selenium existing. So okay, so you were on the iPhone, and Joe was on iOS as well. So so for me, honestly, the thing was stable. I mean, other than like the very, very first release of the app, once they did the first or second bug fix release for the app, it was stable for me, and that's been through several Android revisions. So you know, I'm not saying that is absolutely the issue, but it's a factor that I can't rule out given the differing experiences we've had, and that I was on Android when I did my testing and my use of it, and both of you were on iOS. So just food for thought, I guess. I don't know. It's yeah. I always hear Visual Basic in a negative dead way. So let me make something clear. Visual Basic Script and Visual Basic were two different languages. The only thing in common was the name. Kind of like Java and JavaScript. There's some relation as far as some of the syntax, but even that quickly goes their separate ways, right? Yeah, Visual Basic Script is about as bad as COBOL. Yeah. In doTERRA, she had a line over the gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Found it. PowerShell is very verbose. The commands are very long, and sometimes you might only use something once and never again. Just love the power and like learning. That's fair. So my background is heavily Unix type operating systems. I like very short, concise commands. I think that in large part Microsoft made PowerShell the way it did for the sake of it being Microsoft and having full control over it. Now, the early versions of PowerShell, that I tested didn't even have a proper alias functionality. I think starting around version 2, maybe it was 1.1. I don't recall off the top of my head. I'd have to look at past release notes. But the first version of PowerShell that I was introduced to, which was a beta version, granted, the alias function did not exist, right? So everybody that comes from a Unix type background will know that you can use an alias to make a very long command short. And so in subsequent versions of PowerShell, if you type in alias, you will see these long PowerShell commands linked to these much shorter Unix type commands. And you know, that was a step in the right direction for me, anyways. So now where can I find the trademark? Yeah. Any object-oriented, scripted, or developed I like. Yeah, I mean, from that perspective, I like the concept of it. I'm not so enamored by the execution of it. I don't know. We truly are building off the backs of giants. First PowerShell couldn't do alias. Hilarious. Yeah. It was pretty bad, and I'm pretty sure it was a beta version, so it may not have been full 1.0. Again, don't quote me on that, especially after I've dipped into the whiskey. Still not tasting the apple. Yep. Love my alias commands. Yeah, absolutely. So what's on your shirt? Well, people should recognize this. If you don't, you're showing how young you are. This is a cover off a very extremely popular album that came out in 1971 that had no title, mind you. I have a lot of aliases in Linux. I push them out via Ansible to all my servers so it's consistent. Yeah. They say the more you drink, the better it tastes. Truer words have not been spoken. Oh yeah. So, anyways, this this it's really a very famous rock band. You've probably seen me wear other shirts. Well, I think I've only got one other shirt anymore, but I've worn other shirts from this band. I'm sure there are a few here that might be able to name it without further prompting, but yeah. David, you survived Survivor Night. Let's see. Network Chuck taught me roughly what orchestration was. I think that is what Ansible is. Yeah. So, basically, especially in a Unix type operating system, so Linux, Mac OS, BSD, and yes, there are things you can do with Windows, but it's not as refined, shall we say. So Ansible is one of those things where you can, yeah, I guess it would fall under orchestration. But basically you write a script that does a list of things, such as, pushing updates. It lets you, for example, if you have both Debian based and Red Hat type systems on your network, then you can write one script that will push the updates to both at simultaneously. Basically using groups and different facilities that are built in to allow all that to happen. It's something that I want to deep dive into, but I normally get into it for a few days and then something else happens and I never make it back. So, perhaps this will be the year, famous last words, right? But yeah, you could do a lot of things with Ansible, and it's cool in the way it does it, because you can run it on machines that have already been updated, for instance, and it will check first to see if updates need to be run on that machine. And if they don't need to be run, it will exit gracefully for that particular machine. And it will continue on working on the other machines in the list. So, same era, but no, it's not Styx. It's the cover from the Led Zeppelin 4 album. Better known by the four symbols that appeared on the album with this logo here. But yeah. In my defense, the album was released 3 years before I was born, so you know. Current season is down to just 6 now. Nice. For fun, I installed BSD on a Wii. All right, that sounds like an interesting adventure. Also, I remember when Network Chuck had a few thousand subscribers, and now he's in the millions. Crazy. Yeah. I remember seeing some of his early videos and the production quality compared to where he is now. And granted, he's got a team, which I don't have. So, maybe someday. But For now, I'm an army of one. And what's the movie that uses a 4-letter word that means unalive? So I'll say unalive them all and let God sort them out. But because I don't want to get flagged by the powers that be. And we're 41 minutes in. Chances of them listening this far in, pretty small, right? He was doing networking for Mr. Beast Productions now. Nice. I'm rooting for the honorable fireman and the young woman who is on the spectrum who are working together. That's cool. That's cool. Remember the same thing about Chuck. Cool. There are sticks in the logo. Oh my. Fireman and on the spectrum sounds like a hot couple. Well, anyway, we've been at this for 42 minutes. We're 10 people watching. Thank you all for being here. And I will throw up my stupid logo here. So yeah, that's that. Anyway, I guess I don't know what else to talk about tonight. Whiskey's all right. It's not whiskey in the wild, I can tell you that. My bottle is supposed to make its way to Michigan. When my buddy comes up for his dad's wedding, yes, his mother passed a couple years back, and his dad is getting remarried. So, end of an era, right? I'm just as happy that my dad has not remarried. But hey, my mother always made him sound like a miserable bastard. So, and she always told me I was a mirror image of my father. So be it. I guess I'm just in the miserable bastard club. But hey, I wear that title with pride, and yeah. I'm a captive audience as I can't go anywhere attached to an IV. Are you still laid up, Terrell? I gathered by your messages the other day that things were at least progressing. I didn't know if you'd made it home yet or not. So anyway, overall, I think things are taking a turn at the moment. My last big payment for the dental work will be made tonight or tomorrow, and that will be behind me. And then I just need to worry about paying it off. So but the payment will nonetheless be made, and then I can just start making bigger payments to the credit card companies now that I'm have this ordeal behind me in large part. So I guess that's a good thing. Now I can look forward to, later in the summer, hopefully around August, I can look forward to spending out about $1,000 on an eye exam and new glasses. And of course, it might be closer to $1,500 for that by the time. I don't know. I don't suspect a lot of that material is coming from outside the U.S., but I could be wrong. I could be very wrong on that. I don't know. So it is what it is. We'll get through this, and brighter days are ahead. At least I'm trying to convince myself of that. Sometimes doesn't feel that way, but I tell myself that anyways, just to take away some of the pain. And for the pain it won't take away, there's whiskey and vodka and whatever else that makes you happy. As long as it's legal, right? Even the shall we say Tommy Chong approved products that are on the market, I'm not really opposed to. And hey, gummies are great. You have a couple of gummies and you put on Pink Floyd's The Wall, and you hope it doesn't freak you the hell out. Right? Still in the hospital, getting water off. Had a heart cath Monday, no blockages. Doing ablation procedure tomorrow. As of this morning, I lost 5 liters of fluid. Wow. Good luck, Terrell. Hopefully progress continues in the right direction, and you continue to be surrounded by well-trained and talented doctors and other medical personnel. So that's my standard line in such situations. I'm as a recovering Catholic, I am not a praying person, so if that works for you, do you. I'm not going to ever try to convince people out of their practices, but it wasn't for me. I asked too many questions. I was called a smartass on more than one occasion for asking too many questions. So be it. I'd rather be a smartass than a dumbass. So I don't know. But yeah, things are going relatively well at the moment. I will say. Now that I've got midweek news out of the way, again, for those who came in a little later, it is scheduled for release at 9 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning. So oh, all right. Here's here's a topic. Maybe I can solicit some feedback from the audience who those of you who actually watch midweek news. So a few weeks back, I made a change. Nobody has called me out on it. So does anybody know what the change is before I blurt it out? Um, um, I've never tried those newly available products unless you count secondhand smoke from a high school restroom. Agnosticism helps me when I feel the urge to pray. Yeah. Too many questions, not enough answers. That's why computers are interesting. Amen. I don't know. 4 years of Catholic school was enough to convince me that I would be walking away. It didn't happen until a few years later, and I was forced into confirmation. So those papists are still counting me among their ranks, even though I've had nothing to do with them in more than 25 years. Closer to 30 years now, I guess. But hey, it's all good. I was 20. I was a silent Catholic. However, as I've gotten older and experienced more things, I'm fully spiritual. I haven't watched in a few weeks, but I'm going to take a guess. You're recording in StreamYard. No. No. That's not the change I made. Does anybody else want to take a guess? Anybody?
Bueller.
Sorry, I had to. I know I have some time to serve in purgatory, just trying to keep my sentence down to less than a millennial. So I figure I'm going to go straight to hell, and I'm not going to pass go and collect $200 on the way. But my theory is this: if there is in fact a hell, and I'm destined to go there, the church has condemned so many scientists, free thinkers, and other people that I would have a lot of fun hanging out with. They've sentenced them to hell. And so my theory is by the time I get there, the place is going to be air conditioned. So that's my theory. Nope. Not paint. Nope, not the new soundboard. Seen about 3 to 4 news segments. Well, thank you for watching. So the change I made, I think this week is the 3rd week that I've done it this way. And it was prompted in large part by the ads that appear on the websites that I get the articles from. So what I've started doing for the past few weeks is using taking a screen capture as a still image and just using that instead of having the article displayed in midweek news with all the changing ads and all that kind of garbage. Because my feeling is that, especially for those who are on YouTube Premium, and especially for those that aren't on any sort of YouTube Premium, I guess for anybody, but people that don't have a YouTube Premium type subscription, either the regular Premium or the new Lite version, are subjected to enough ads on YouTube as it is, without seeing additional ads coming from the websites themselves. So my approach has been to start to capture still images instead of keeping the tabs open in the browser and switching between them that way. And so now I just record using teleprompter. I don't know if that's made any difference that people have noticed or not noticed, but it makes editing a whole lot quicker for me. So I don't know. I'm not saying that I'm going to continue forever doing it this way, but for now, it makes sense to me. And I guess now that the cat's out of the bag, if people give me negative feedback on it, then maybe I'll consider going back to the other way. But for right now, it has shaved some time off from editing, and I'm hoping that using the teleprompter to read off my notes that go with each article has made a little bit of a difference. I will say that has probably been the bigger factor in shaving off editing time, but I think it's the two put together that's really made it much faster to edit. So anyway, interesting. I like that line of thinking. Excuse me. I'm going to hell for ad blocking if that's something that puts you there. Well, hey, I'm guilty of that to some extent as well. At different times I have been. They're making it harder these days, but where there's a will, there's a way, right? And for me, that way has been using Fresh RSS. No, this is not a sponsored segment, but hooey. It's been a game changer for producing midweek news. Just because I don't have to spend near as much time collecting stories. I can go through them quickly, and I've actually done that on the stream before. Is like right now there's only a few here since I just cleared this for when I was working on midweek news earlier tonight, but there's a few things. Raspberry Pi OS gets a new printer app. That's cool. Daily builds for 25.10 from Ubuntu are now available. Not going to be much different than 2504 quite yet, but they are available. Interesting. Lockbit ransomware gang hacked. I don't feel sorry for them. Let's see. New release of Raspberry Pi OS. Plamo Linux 8.2. It's a Japanese distribution loosely modeled on Slackware. Actively maintained since 2001. Wow. I don't think I'd ever heard of that before. But I don't speak or write Japanese, so Security updates. I'm not running Ubuntu 18.04 anymore. That's for sure. Let's see. Firmware update. And support for Intel Arc Battle Mage GPUs. Very interesting. EFI certificate insights. Huh. So anyway, it's a lot faster to scan through the headlines, flag stuff as favorites using the star that you want to go back and look at. And Amazon says warehouse robot can feel items but won't replace workers yet. Power School paid thieves to delete stolen student-teacher data. Wow. After that 2024 Windows fiasco, CrowdStrike has a plan, job cuts, and leaning on AI. Well, a certain Queen song comes to mind. In this circumstance. But hey, most of you probably don't know that Queen is a band, or was a band anyways. About it not being worth the dollars. Oh, did I miss one? Yeah. Anyway. But Joe, are you a killer queen? There can only be one. Queen, in my opinion, died with Freddie Mercury. On one hand, I appreciate them going on. On the other hand, part of what to me makes Led Zeppelin special is that when Bonzo died, they disbanded. And they've only played together a handful of times since then with different drummers. And we try not to talk about the Live Aid event from 1985 that should never have happened. Phil Collins, for all his talent, is no John Bonham. So, why did I pour myself another glass of whiskey? So maybe Queen at Live Aid was good, but Led Zeppelin at Live Aid was not. Yeah. There can only be one. Freddie Mercury is one of the best ever frontmen. Yes, absolutely. Do you know why the AC/DC album Back in Black is named that? Probably has something to do with Bon Scott dying prior to that album. But beyond that, I don't know. So anyway, there's a little fresh RSS for you. I guess I can jump down here, put myself back on screen. So yeah, tomorrow morning at 9, midweek news, episode 126, with a new twist to it, a little bit of a new twist to it. So we are at an hour and 6 minutes. Is anybody else a fan of the series Hell on Wheels on Amazon Prime? I'm in the second season. There are 5 seasons. If I don't get a handle on my habit, I will probably have binge watch the whole thing before the end of the month, but I'm trying not to watch it that fast. Oh, look at that. 18 spam messages. And they're all going to get... Oh, there's one that's in spam that shouldn't be there. So all the rest of them are going to get deleted. Goodbye. Thumbtack tools, Thumbtack terms of use. We'll say not spam, but I haven't been using Thumbtack in multiple years. I should probably just delete that account. Interesting. All right. Let's see. They were about to disband. Bon Scott's parents talked them into going on. So back in the morning. Huh. All right. Interesting. I had not heard that. Been addicted to YouTube. Well, I spend too much time on YouTube as it is making content. I've been trying to take a step back from consuming content every once in a while. Usually happens 2 or 3 times a year. I'll find a show that interests me. And Hell on Wheels is about the building of the railroad across the country. I'm guessing it is mostly fiction, but there's a lot of post-Civil War references, shall we say. I guess that's the best way to put it. So Alonzo, welcome in. I'm afraid you're joining just as we're starting to wind down. I'm out of topics to talk about, unless you've got a topic that you'd like to suggest. So we're 70 minutes in. My goal was to cut off by 90 minutes total. So we got about 20 minutes left. So if you want to suggest a topic for us to riff on, then have at it. New York Knicks win game 2, join late. That's fair. How's the grand stream set up? So everything is working well. I'm still using it as sort of a secondary testing area right now. In hopefully in the next few weeks, I may be able to do some swapping of gear and get it into service full time. Yes, I've had a little bit of whiskey and it's been a long day, so I'm not thinking quite as quickly as normal. So I've been very impressed with it. There are a few things that I want to dig into to verify first before I make the switch. But mainly those revolve around DHCP options that will let me run fog on the network after I switch over, because I've got it configured to work with OpenSense right now, and it works well with that. But the question is going to be, will it work as well with the Grand Stream gear? And that I don't know yet. So that's going to be one of my boxes to tick off. And given that I am pushing this month to build, this large video on fog, because I've had so many questions popping up lately. I'm deep diving back into the topic. I'm doing more testing on it myself. In fact, I suppose, do I have? Yes. So if we jump back over here. So this is the fog server that I've currently got running. There's only 2 hosts registered currently. I've only got 1 image on this machine currently. And so what I did yesterday with this, because I wanted to test out different methods for doing this and be able to talk about them in the video. So I started with a 32 gigabyte disk for the install of fog, right? So the operating system and the software itself and all the dependencies. And by the time I put 1 image on here and registered 2 machines, I was closing in on 50% of that 32 gigs being used. Now, as you saw over here, the image for the first machine that I took the image of is only 9.15 gigabytes, or gigabytes technically, GIB. But if I were to put a Windows image on here, it would likely be larger than that. So this was sort of a first step, is just seeing if I could resize the disk and have everything functional. And that did in fact work. at this point, I'm trying to keep the install simple, and make it easy for people to take what I'm doing and scale it for their needs, right? That being said, there's always going to be more than one way to do a given task, right? So that's that. So anyways, the I guess where I was going with that thought was that this video is intended to be sort of an all-encompassing video. We may not go terribly deep on all the functionality, but there will be several demonstrations over the course of the video. It's going to have sort of instead of a transition in the normal sense, I guess it will, from segment to segment, it will transition from the end of the segment to sort of a title screen for the next segment and then start the next segment. The idea being that this video will be probably an hour-ish long when it's all said and done, and released at the end of the month as a public video. Now, for those people who might be members of the channel, there is some likelihood, maybe more than some, that you may be seeing the pieces as they're recorded, not necessarily in the order they're going to appear in the long video. But again, the goal is to put out one sort of definitive fog video towards the end of the month with the timestamps on them, on it, to right from the start, with references to, you know, places that you can get official help from the fog project right from the start, and a pinned message that says, here's the link to the fog forum. That's the official place to get help. I'm just a dude making YouTube videos. I may be more of an expert than the people that watch my videos, but the real experts are the developers. And there are going to be times when I can't answer a question because I'm not the developer. And so I will gladly pass people on to the developers, to the fog forum, to the fog documentation, and you know, let them go through the proper channels so that their question can help other people as well. Excuse me. Because if you're using fog, then you know, there is a small but active community around fog. And why not, instead of going to some random YouTube video, sometimes people comment on 3-year-old videos when they could go to the fog forums and, I don't know, use the search function and either find an answer to the same question from somebody else, or have their question be referenced later by somebody else that might run into the same problem. So I never saw that series. Do they go into how the Asian workers were treated? Then after the job was done, how they got them off the payroll? So this series, is focusing more on one of the railroads that used more, a lot of it's Black and Irish labor. And then there are former Union and Confederate soldiers making an appearance in this series. So I find that kind of interesting. It probably, I'd almost say more than likely, falls into the category of historical fiction. Because we all know that Asian workers were very vital in the construction of our railroad system, as were former slaves. So, to those people that built the railroads, I raise a glass. See what I did there was just an excuse. Which model APs? So I've got hooked up right now. I've got the 7604, but I also have, which I think I mentioned this on a stream before, I also have, due to a shipping error, this is the 7664E, and this is a beefy. That's not going to focus. It's too white. Yeah, that's too white. This is a beefy, heavy access point. So this will end up being the main boy, and then the other will be probably in my bedroom or something, so that my TV that I move back in there, and like my Google Home and whatnot will operate a little bit better. Will the software run on a NUC? The fog software, yes. And typically, the developers recommend running it as a virtual machine. And of course, you know, it's one of those things where the storage options that you've got available to you are largely going to be set up in the underlying Linux distribution before you ever install fog. So the one of the underlying thoughts that I've had as I've been formulating how this video is going to go and how long it might end up being is that I'm probably going to use a VM. I'm going to use a single virtual disk, which can be expanded later, which can be moved to a different physical disk later if need be, and then expanded. And that may that line of thinking may push me to do a advanced fog video later on. I was really hoping that I could avoid doing another fog video until 1.6 came out. But it's been 6 months since I covered the 1.6 beta, and here we are. It has not been released as stable. And so, yeah, that's where we're at. But yes, it would run on a NUC. I think the minimum requirements for fog is a modern version of Ubuntu or Debian or Red Hat, Fedora, Rocky, Elma, what have you, a gig of RAM and a 1 gig network card, plus whatever storage space that you're going to need for images, right? And again, there are multiple ways to do this. You could separate the OS part from the image storage part onto separate virtual disks, and then just move the image storage to a separate physical disk on Proxmox or whatever. There are a number of ways you could do this, and I'm not going to try to come up with every combination for this video, even for the advanced video, but I'm going to show enough to get people started, to show the basic operation of the core functionality, and then touch on a few things that I've not covered before, right? So that's where I'm going with it. And as I've said to people who've left negative comments on my videos, if you can do better, be my guest. I'll even come watch the video. But that usually just makes people mad and it scares them away, and they don't ever take action. So, I'm going to do the best that I'm capable of doing with the knowledge base that I've got at this point in time. It's not going to get edited like a cinematic feature. In fact, I'm really kind of doubling down on the less is more approach to editing. And so, that's that. I saw or heard a statistic. It may have been in a video I listened to while I was driving. The largest, allegedly, the largest demographic on YouTube is over 30. So, it's interesting, and I'm definitely over 30. So, all right, second pour of whiskey's gone. I'm switching back to water, and it's about time that we say goodbye. We got 20 seconds left. So thank you all for watching. If you haven't done so already, hit that like button. Come on, a like for the like. Yeah. That's the whiskey talking. We'll blame it. We'll blame it there. So yeah. Yeah. This has been fun. It's kind of meandered to different places that I didn't or hadn't intended on going when I started the stream, but it's all right. I'll take it. Have a good night, everybody.